Hello. Thank you for joining me today. Um, it is the Christmas season, and so we are going to, in service, we've been working with the book, The Redemption of Scrooge, and we are going to take a little trip. This week was Christmas past. We're going to take a little trip of our own down memory lane, and you can see today I chose to do the meditation from my home, partly because for me, we could have the Christmas tree in the background, little music playing. And the Christmas tree, I remember as a child what a big deal it was getting it. And a couple years we had live Christmas trees, and they have been planted in my parents' yard. And they're like these huge, huge, big fir trees now. And I remember getting trees with my children. And the tree behind me is, yes, it's an artificial tree, but it's one that I remember getting when my daughter had gone, my two oldest were in college, and it was just the youngest and I, and we were in a smaller house. And so he and I went and picked this out. And yet so many of the ornaments are things that I had from childhood or remind me of my children's childhood. And I'm sure that you have things like that, and memories that you have of Christmas, both in your childhood and raising your children. As I'm looking now, I see the angel, the little red angel. That was one my grandmother gave me, and each one of my sisters and I have a different one, and each got ours when we left our home. And the little pair of booties up there, my daughter and I are still kind of, that was for her first Christmas. And we still kind of, it's like, no, it gets to stay on my tree. And she goes, but it's mine, it should come to my tree. So it's fun to see those things and to remember those things. So we're going to take a trip kind of back and remember Christmases past and have some fun with that this morning as we connect with God and connect with that part of ourselves, that childlike part of ourselves that remembers what it was like, the joy of Christmas, the joy of just the anticipation. And we were like all out, and the some of us would take time to like write letters to Santa. We'd look through catalogs and get like big lists of what we wanted. We would try to find things maybe to do to be kind to other people. It was always a time to, be kind to, at least in my house, brothers and sisters. There were 5 of us, so that we didn't get like coal in our stocking or something. So let's go back in time a little bit, and let's take a moment to connect. So I just invite you to close or lower your eyes. And if you're more comfortable leaving them open and focusing on the Christmas tree or someplace in the room that you're at, feel free to do that. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together and just drop into our bodies, leaving whatever has happened before, just leaving it, knowing we can pick it up when we're finished with this time for ourselves, our time to commune with God, and letting go of any worries about what we have to do today, because we can also pick those up in the next 7 or 8, 9 minutes. And so we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and we're going to start from empty. We take a big breath in together. Hold it, then let it out with a sigh. And again. And one last time. Just allow your breath to return to its own natural rhythm. Notice any places of tension or any places where you might be holding tension, and just Bring some thought to those, some love to those places. Just breathe into them, allowing yourself to relax as much as you can in this moment. And I invite you to think back. Think back to the Christmases of your childhood. For some of you, I know that that might not always bring up happy memories, but they are a part of what made you who you are today. For others of you, it may bring up memories of a complete shift in the way that your family operated. And for others, it may just be this beautiful, wondrous, joyous time. Did your family celebrate Advent? Were you in part of a tradition or that anticipation of Jesus's birth was something that was at the forefront? Or were you in a house where these kinds of things didn't matter, but you still had the tree and you did the presents and Santa Claus? I just invite you to just go back, and if you're like I am, you may have many, many, many memories flooding at you. I invite you to choose one. Choose one that makes your heart delight, that fills your heart with joy, one that you remember. It could be something as simple as, I got new pajamas from my grandmother every Christmas, and we got to open her gifts on Christmas Eve so we could wear the PJs and wake up in them Christmas morning. That was one that just came to me. Allow yourself to really get into the feeling of what it was like, the joy, the happiness, the fun, the anticipation, whatever it was for you. And if it wasn't pleasant, just be okay with whatever comes up. And be grateful as much as you can for this is a part of who you are. This is your past. This is your Christmas past. And I invite you to move some years forward to when you're an adult. And if you had children, if you have children, I invite you to think of a Christmas when they were young, or they still might be young. And if you don't have children, what are your Christmases like as an adult? Do you still get a tree? Do you decorate? Do you have special ornaments on your tree that remind you of different things in your life? Are you someone that likes to decorate your tree like all the same color, a different color each year? Do you have a special place you hang stockings? Are there special decorations that come out? Is there special music you listen to? Do you find it a relaxing time, or do you find it a stressful time? So still be in the past, not quite up to present time, but just think about those things. Maybe think of a Christmas in your early adult years, or when you first had children. I flashed on a Christmas, a really fun one in college when my roommate and I were sharing an apartment, and we went out and got this tree, and I stayed up with a friend all night talking and looking at the Christmas tree and watching the twinkling lights. It was delightful. And it was at a time when I could stay up all night, because now is not that time. So just breathe into those memories, and maybe a Charlie Brown Christmas tree is what you had. Or maybe, as my daughter, you had to have little small Christmas trees because you were in a dorm room or not in a place where you had a lot of space. Or you were someone like she was that needed to decorate her bedroom in addition to whatever I decorated. Just think of that Christmas, a different Christmas past for you. And just simply be with all the memories. And remember and be grateful for the fact that these memories, these things, these Christmas pasts are part of what make you who you are today. And maybe we have forgotten the joy we had as a child, forgotten the memories as a young adult, forgotten what it was like when our children were super little. Or the staying up all night. I was reminiscing with a girlfriend about this. The part we miss is staying up and trying to put together all the stuff for our kids and making sure there were enough batteries in the house. And, these are fun memories. And maybe there was a struggle or two. If those struggles, maybe they deepened your faith, maybe they didn't. For me, the Christmases where I worried about there being enough, where I didn't know where I would get the money for food to do any kind of a dinner for my kids, or let alone have presents and get them what they wanted. The trusting that it would all work out, knowing for me, I was fortunate enough to have an extended family that helped with much of that. What has the journey in Christmas past brought you? And I invite you in this moment to release any regrets you have about past Christmases. And to focus on the joys that you remember. Acknowledging that there were some Christmases that were hard, and that's okay. And being grateful for the gifts that they gave you, the learning to accept help, or the learning to be grateful for what you had, or the learning to have faith in God that all would be provided. For each of us, our journey into Christmas past is a little different. So just be with these memories today. And I'd like you to take a moment and One of the Christmases past was the first Christmas, the Christmas that we celebrate as Christians. And that is remembering the birth of Jesus and remembering beyond that, that it's the opportunity for each of us, for that Christ consciousness, to remember that we're part of the body of Christ that is birthed in each one of us. And in remembering that first Christmas and remembering our Christmas past, may they bring us hope as we prepare this week and move from Christmas past into Christmas present. Take a big breath in together. Let it out. May God add a blessing to your day today. As you walk through the world, may you add joy to someone. May you show kindness to someone. May you experience the Christmas spirit so that today becomes a beautiful memory in the future. May God bless you and keep you. Have a wonderful week.